motherless daughters manage all of the ups and downs of grieving this loss. I use what I learned after my mom passed in 2013 by showing these women the transformation of life and reminding them that no matter how hard things seem, there is just one way forward. So let's get started. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this and for continually listening to the episodes while I get the hang of podcasting. I promise that each episode will be better from here on out, starting next week. And I so appreciate all of the support that each one of you has given me. Let's get started with the episode. To the show.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. I just like to start off each episode with each woman just sharing about the loss of their mother.
I'd have to say for me, it's been very hard, especially since I'm the only child. I think it's hard because I don't have anyone that loves my mother like I loved her, that knew her like I knew her. You know, I don't have anyone to share that grief with. So I feel like I'm like all alone in all of it. So
thank you for sharing. What would you say has been the hardest part about being an only child and losing your mom?
You know, there's a couple layers to that. Basically, it's just, you know, what to do next, you know, after, because my mother's loss was unexpected. So I feel like, you know, with it being unexpected, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? You know, that was not something I, you know, anticipated. And then being, you know, a motherless mother, it's like I am just raising her from the best of what I remember how my mother raised me, and from books and from friends. And luckily I do have some aunts, you know, for their input. But, you know, it's, you know, I don't raising a kid. It's really hard to know if you're doing things right. Sometimes that reassurance of, you know, you're doing a good job. You know, I think my dad said it like maybe twice, and my daughter's 6.5. Not that I feel like I need the reassurance all the time, but it's kind of, it would be nice. You know, a lot of people that are raising kids have their parents to help them, or, you know, or be involved in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, you know, just not really having like another sibling that has lost their mom. You know, I feel like it's very different. Like, you know, your mom's sister like lost your mom, but to her it was her sister, if that makes sense. So
exactly, it's not the same of being her offspring and experiencing that loss. My loss isn't the same as my grandmother's, and my loss is not the same as her sisters, her siblings. Like, it's not the same, and so I like have no one to share that with. And it's kind of frustrating because it's just like, you know, sometimes when people are saying, oh, you know, I know how you feel, or a lot of those things that a lot of non-grieving people don't realize, those things are a little, it gets condescending after a while, because it's like, no, you don't know how it is. You don't know how it feels. And this is something that I'm like walking this path alone, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like too, especially when it would come to, you know, raising a child, like we don't ask our parents these questions when we were kids. One, because we're kids, we're not going to know the difference. But it's like, now that I need my mom to ask these questions to, like, she's not here. And I mean, it's not like you can ask your sister who might be older than you, or your brother who might be older than you, hey, do you remember so-and-so from childhood? Because, you know, you're an only child. So how have you, I guess, coped with being an only child and, yeah, like not having, you know, your mom?
I mean, I think I've done okay with it. Basically, growing up the only child, I was always felt alone anyway. So it's just kind of like, okay, I'm really alone as an adult, you know? And so it's just kind of like an you know, extenuation of how I felt even without my mom. So it's like even more lonely. because I didn't really realize that my mom was like my best friend until after she passed. Like, I guess I kind of knew it because it was just the two of us, because she was a single mom. But, you know, it's like that realization is like tenfold after she's gone. And then it like hurts even more because she's gone. And then you realize and say, well, dang, why didn't I realize that while she was still alive, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just basically just walking the path, just like, you know, trying to reach out, finding those friends that might understand when you have your blue times, when your blue moments where you just kind of don't want to be quite as social during certain times of the year or whatever.
Yeah. So have you found yourself navigating or, you know, reaching out to a certain person, you know, since you don't have a brother or sister, when like you've been struggling? Like, where's been your support system?
I don't really have one. I do have my aunts, my paternal aunts, those are my dad's sisters. That I have a aunt who's a pastor, and you know, if I'm feeling the word of God, then she's a good person to turn to. But I don't really have anybody. I mean, I'm very grateful for the support groups that's on Facebook, because I don't really have anyone. There's nobody that has really experienced the kind of loss that I have. I do have a cousin, you know, I have some cousins that lost their mom unexpectedly, but we're not close. And they're somewhat after my mom's death. Like, one of them, you know, she was in touch, but you know, I really haven't ever had. I mean, I had people a short while, but I mean, you know, people go on about their lives, and here I am still dealing with it on a daily basis, and it'll be 10 years on Mother's Day. So I don't really have anyone.
Bless your heart. I thank you for sharing. 10 years on Mother's Day. That's, yeah, I mean, there's not much to say to that.
Yeah.
Kind of funny how those things happen. So
yeah, this will be the second time.
You know, you have like lost, you know, their mom unexpectedly. Do you think that it would have been, you know, beneficial to you in the grief process to, you know, maybe have a sibling? I know, you know, it's hard to say because you don't, but do you think that you would maybe even talk to them about it? Or like, how do you think?
I mean, it's a possibility. You know, my mom used to always say, because I used to always, like, you know, if I wanted a sibling when I was younger, she's like, she had siblings. She's like, there's no guarantee if you have siblings that you're going to get along with them, that you're going to have a bond with them. And I always, you know, that always was in the back of my head, you know, even though it's not something I ever had. But I mean, I realized that. So I don't know, because I know everybody grieves differently.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it would be nice, but that's true. I mean, you might not have had a bond, or maybe you didn't have a bond, and then after the death and you bonded together, or maybe you were complete opposites, and that's not something that you can, you know, grieve with. I know that I have a best friend back home in Ohio, and I think her one sister, she grieves, she shuts down. She totally has, you know, went through the process of the grief of their loss of their mom, totally different. And like, she just keeps to herself, and it's not, and I have a distinct feeling they probably don't even talk about it amongst themselves. And I actually think it's been more divisive with their relationship. So I don't know. That's not a guarantee when you have siblings, that that's something that you would have somebody to lean on with that.
Yeah, you know, you make a good point. I just didn't know if you had ever thought about it. But I can totally see, you know, what you mean, how feeling like you're like extra alone. Grief in general is so isolating.
Yes.
And we know when you're an only child, I mean, I barely talk to my brother about it, but still, it's like I have that. So you said you found yourself, like, did you say like going to church or praying or something like that? Like,
well, I mean,
if I'm having peace.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what I'm feeling, what I need. I mean, on a rare occasion, my parents have been divorced since I was a toddler, and my dad's on his fifth wife. So, like, you know, on a rare occasion, I might reach out to my dad, but I mean, I really don't have that person to truly, I mean, it depends on the moment. Sometimes, you know, whatever he has to say might comfort me. And sometimes I just lean on my best friend, you know, but at this point in the game, as long as we've been friends, you know, she kind of feels like, okay, hasn't it been long enough, which really just distance me from her, because she doesn't get it. You know, she is estranged from her mother, and here I am, who would get anything for my mom to be with me, to still even be walking this earth, and she, by choice, does not have a relationship with her. And that, that's irritating to me, because it's just like, you have no idea how lucky you are to still have a living parent. And so sometimes we kind of, we have to agree to disagree, because she doesn't know what it's like, and she's closer to her dad, so she would probably feel how I feel, if her dad died, but not with her mom. So it's just something that she could never understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess my next question would be, how did you find, or have you found comfort in almost being alone? Because I know sometimes, for some people it can be comforting, yet it can be lonely. So
yeah.
Are you just like kind of used to it, or have you found have you come to terms with it almost?
I think that my daughter definitely has saved me for that, because she's like my little buddy, and and I really feel like she saved me.
So it's like your mom.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say, she didn't know your mom, but
no,
you're like kind of alone in the sense that you don't have a sibling, but you're not alone, because I feel like, especially since, your daughter wasn't born, I feel like she would have a ton of questions, and, I could be wrong, but, you could be able to talk to her about it. So that seems almost really not reassuring, but it's kind of inspiring. It's oh, okay, you can see your mom, maybe through her. Or even see your mom through
yeah, definitely. I mean, people always say that, babies and children they know about, I believe in the afterlife. And so they know about, the afterlife, and they've had interactions. So I'm a firm believer that my mom and my daughter has definitely met each other. When she was a baby, when she would wake up, she would, excuse me, when she would wake up, how babies are kind of cooing, and they looking up in the air, and you always wonder, what the heck are they looking at, And then as my daughter got older, when she was, barely could talk, she would wake up and talk about butterflies. And I don't know if you are a firm believer in that, but, butterflies are a sign of, our loved ones, giving us signs. I didn't see the butterflies, but she used to always talk about, oh, did you see the butterfly? Well, I didn't see the butterfly. But unfortunately, as kids get older, they lose those abilities. And so I really feel like my mom was probably around. I probably just didn't feel her. And I believe that they totally met, before she became a part of my life. And I think that encourages me. And as far as my daughter's questions, I just answer them to the best of my ability. And she knows that it's something that gives me sadness. So she tries not to ask too much. But, I try to hold back my tears and answer her questions, because she deserves to know as much as she can about her grandmother, even though she's never met her. And she knows, I have a grandmother, but, she's not living,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's good that, you have her in a sense of comfort and isolation, because nobody should feel like they have to be used to anything, whether it's being an only child and going through this, or I don't know, literally anything. So I feel like that's almost just becoming complacent rather. So it's nice to see that you found, comfort in that, and joy in realizing that you have your daughter and she helped you, through it.
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
how we see blessings when we don't really think about it.
Yeah.
So is there a mother figure, anything that you find yourself reaching out to or wanting to talk to?
Yeah. Luckily, my dad has a lot of siblings, and so I do have one particular aunt that I am very close with. That she was like a second mom for me when my mom was still living, and so definitely she's someone that I lean on from time to time. And she's like a grandmother figure for my daughter, and which I definitely am appreciative of, because I don't feel like my dad has stepped up to the plate to be the kind of grandfather that I would like for him to be, and he was not a part of my life either. As far as childhood and stuff. So he's not, I kind of felt like this was a second opportunity, and he's really failing at it. So I'm very appreciative of his eldest sister, and, stepping up, and, my daughter loves talking to her, and, she's someone that I can talk to. And actually at this point, it's more my daughter and her, and not so much her and I, because, that's pretty common when people have kids, they care about your kids and not you as much, which is okay. Because I value the fact that my daughter has a grandmother type of figure in her life, because that means a lot. I feel bad that she doesn't have that, because I'm not close to my stepmother, and I'm appreciative that my aunt is literally just a call away or a text away, and and I really wholeheartedly feel like she's going to be there for my daughter for as long as she's living. So
yeah, of course. I mean, it definitely makes a difference. So I guess another random question: has being an only child going through this, do you think that you were do you want in like one child, or did you want more than one?
Well, my daughter wasn't planned. I have never been married, and so she was not expected. I wasn't planning on her. So, and I never actually wanted kids, but I'm glad that God blessed me with her.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I never really wanted any kids because I kind of felt like I'd be a single mom, and here I am, a single mom.
Fair enough.
But it's okay. I think I'm doing a pretty good job, and it's been. She wasn't planned, but I mean, she's definitely been a blessing to my life.
So, is there anything that you, I guess, would not do differently? Because I'm not sure if you knew what your mom did, but since being an only child and having gone through this, do you think that as your daughter gets older, you'll do things to maybe almost prepare her for what you've been through?
Ooh, that's a heavy one.
Sorry, I know that was probably a really confusing question.
No, it wasn't confusing. It was a heavy one. My mom, she went ahead and, she paid, as far as arrangements go, she went ahead and paid for her cremation. I just had to pay for her urn. And I'll probably do those type of things as far as, taking care of those type of arrangements. But emotionally, I don't know if I can do that. And my mom didn't do it for me. I mean, anytime we talk about it, we both end up crying because she knew that I would be alone, unfortunately. And so that was not something that we finished with talking, because it was a tearjerker for both of us, because she knew it was just her and I. And I had told her, I'm like, I'll be all alone. And we all just both started crying. So, I mean, all I could do is pray that my daughter, has family steps up to the plate, and finds that comfort like I found some, with my grieving process. But I don't know. Well, emotionally, I don't know.
She will. I mean, you have. I mean, it's all like you're gonna raise her to be that way, but I mean, there's already things that like we always don't talk about this already as like human.
Right.
So I just didn't know if you remember one like thing that your mom did to maybe like, I don't know, like prepare you for it, knowing that you were an only child. I don't know if parents do that or not. But yeah, I mean, and thankfully, your daughter won't be alone. She'll find comfort, other ways and things like that.
Yeah, she has lots of family, but I think that, my mom and I talked about as far as the financial arrangements of it and as far as what her wishes were. And definitely, I still haven't done it, but I definitely will have my, do a living will and make sure, if I were to die, today, tomorrow, whatever, my wishes for how I want her to be raised and who to live with and those type of things. So those things are written and legal and shall be said,
So it's just more of a thing that you almost prepare for yourself rather than you
don't
necessarily tell her, because I mean, she's not really going to understand that, at least not right now at this point in her life.
Right. And definitely, it's because my mom died unexpectedly, I'm very glad that the last words I said to her was that I love you, before I went to bed, and I say that to my daughter all the time. And my mom and I were very affectionate with each other. And, I make sure I do that for my daughter, and it's like, it's a running joke. When I say, guess what? And she's like, you love me. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why do you always say that? And I'm like, because I don't want you to ever forget it. I want you to know what it feels like, and I want you to hear the words as often as possible. And like we say it throughout the day, every day, because I think it's very important.
Now, do you think like your and your daughter's relationship is kind of like, your and your mom's relationship? It just blows my mind.
Yes.
Both of y'all were single moms and both had daughters, I bet that's so comforting.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, we do the same things, and I think I raised her similarly to how I was raised. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like, we're doing the same thing, which is funny, but I mean, it's all I kind of know. So it's comforting for me. I feel like my mom did everything right. Exactly. So I'm doing the best I can, and I do hope that she is proud of me. I mean, I don't feel like I'm as near perfect as she was, but I'm doing the best I can,
Absolutely. So is there like not like one question, but I mean, since we don't really ask our parents what to do in certain situations, when they're here, like while raising your daughter, have you come across something like specific so far where you're like, what on earth did my mom like do when she was raising me and I was in this situation? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I think so. And really, I just reach out to my family and friends, you know, because it's
They
like,
might know what your mom would do in that situation, if that makes sense.
not necessarily they know what she would do, because mind you, I'm close to at this point in my life, I'm close to my dad's side of the family, so they wouldn't know because I wasn't raised around my dad's side of the family. So I know for a fact they would, and even if I asked my mom's side of the family, they wouldn't know either. So basically, I just talk it out because I think about what she probably would do, and then it's like, and then sometimes I think about it so much that she'll come and visit me in my dream, and then I'll wake up and I'll know what to do. So sometimes it's just something I have to sleep on it and think about it, and maybe telepathically talk to my mom, and think about it and think about it and just get. But I don't really know if there's anything specific. But I mean, with raising a child, most definitely. I mean, there's things that come up, and it's like you don't know what to do. And it's like, and then I just think, okay, if I was my mom or if my mom was here, what do you think she would say? And I kind of have to just do it with myself, because really nobody really knew my mom as well as I did. So kind of asking other people is kind of pointless, but it helps me talk it out so that I can come to a conclusion or answer for myself.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That, I mean, sometimes the answers are going to be very obvious, sometimes they aren't. But at the end of the day, you're doing what you think is right and what you think is best. And
right,
that's what your mom would have done, regardless if it was the exact same thing.
Right.
So it's like, okay, even if the answer wasn't that obvious, this is the best that I could do. So close enough.
Yep.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add and leave with the listeners regarding this, or was anything?
I think the most important thing is just try to find your people or your support system as best as you can, even if it's just very little. Like I myself have very little support. But, find your comfort. I mean, if it's not somebody else, they can actually relate to your situation. Like I do have a coworker who is a grieving person because her brother took his own life about a year ago, I believe. And even though I lost my mom unexpectedly, I mean, it's still similar because, I mean, it's like, it doesn't have to be the exact same situation. Yeah. And sometimes, you'll find, a level of friendship that you never probably thought you would ever have simply because of that. So, just find your people. And it doesn't have to necessarily be somebody that is a grieving person, but sometimes there's those specific things that only another grieving person can relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm sure that would help. It helps in any situation, but I'm sure it especially helped you, being an only child.
Yeah.
It really makes you feel like you're not alone, because a lot of people don't really understand what to do, or haven't been through don't understand grief in general. So
exactly.
I very much so agree with you, and I very much so I'm glad that you have that. So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I love how raw and true you were with your emotions, and I just wanted to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Kat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good one.